this innovation helps or innovate or affect the organization, sales, and the customer interaction with them.
Okay, how does the culture of innovation and usage of digital technologies helps in sales? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think having the culture of innovation is need of an hour, not just for the sake of doing it, but I think the bigger objective or the overall, what do you call, the overall purpose of a particular organization right now is to be a partner with the clients. Now that can only happen if the costs are also aligned. I'll give you a small anecdote of about the cost. So I remember during COVID, everyone was working from home, and I was part of the task force within KPMG, which was responsible for coming up with solutions and strategies to help out our end clients in what do you call helping them out during this entire COVID transformation process. And there were certain folks from commercial side of things whom we were also supporting, and they come up with a very powerful insight that because of COVID and the cost pressures, and they are operating from home, and the top line is not growing, the clients are expecting us to renegotiate on the existing contract. So if a contract was, let's say, for $250 million for next 3 years, they wanted us to do the same amount of work in $150 million or maybe less. I'm just taking hypothetical numbers. Now everyone was facing the same pressure, be it KPMG or any other professional services organization. Now it doesn't make sense for any professional services organization to reduce the overall value of the contract by two-thirds just to appease a particular client because of a difficult solution. Why? Because going forward, what happens once a condition approves, that becomes the new norm or the new base value. The clients automatically start expecting the same value to be there for the future contract, which is not a very good business decision. So we had to forego certain of our clients because we weren't able to meet that particular threshold. After 1.5 years, they came back to us. They slightly jacked up the overall value, which was closer to the original value of 250 million. But one thing was clear that everyone was looking for efficiencies. Everyone was looking for value. Okay, if the base value cannot be reduced, what extra you can give us? And at the same time, KPMG or other professional services organizations had to think of ways of doing work efficiently. Wherein, if let's say 5,000 man hours were required for a particular project or an engagement in the past, KPMG was looking for ways to do that in 2,000 hours. Just an example. Or maybe there was an outsourcing strategy because the consultant's time in the US, let's say hypothetical figure, it is about $500 per hour. If they get the similar set of service because of digital transformation and digital enablement, it can be done for $100 if a particular consultant is working from KPMG India or KPMG Global Services. Just an example of cost arbitrage. Now, this value can only be enabled if the overall organization and the leadership buy-in is there, that we need to come up with certain innovative solutions who can help us improve efficiency, number one, keeping the same effectiveness, number two, but at a lower cost, or number three, delivering more value to our end customers. If either of these three things were happening at that point in time, I think that had to be done only when there was some kind of cultural enablement. And that cultural enablement or digital transformation can only happen when there is a buy-in from the top leadership, number one. The second thing is the roles within an organization undergo change based on the adoption of the digital technology. And the third bit is the most important one, is that taking everyone together. The employees had to buy into that particular culture. They had to be retrained. They had to be very comfortable with any kind of digital technology being used. So that was very important. I hope that helps.
Certainly, sir. Most certainly. Thank you for sharing that mindset with us. So, as you were saying that you are previously working with KPMC. But so what were the key lessons that you learned while launching new capabilities, new products, new
Mm,
new launches for the enterprise?
New capabilities. I think again, this is one of those fully loaded questions, Garima, that can take up to multiple sessions. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Okay, let me, tell you. So how that all happened was, so again, if I talk from my own personal perspective, Garima, so when I joined KPMG, what was happening? I was the 20th member, and we were working on multiple pilots. So pilot means that you work for free on a particular project. You share it with the end user, and depending on if they like it or not compared to the other incumbents, they will come back to you and say, hey, you know what? Now we are willing to pay for your services going forward, and here is the contract for next 3 or 4 years. And these clients were no one else, but these were the KPMG network people only working in different KPMG member firms globally. But that internal cost transfer has to happen. Now, while all of that was happening, my focus was completely, and the folks who were working with me was completely on winning on whatever cost possible. I remember there was a time where, me and certain of my team members, again, think of very distant past. I'm talking about 2010, 2011. That's not the case anymore. We used to be in office for 72 hours at straight, right? There was a so-called medical room. It had 2 beds, and we were just taking turns to stay in that. But the whole idea was that we have to win a particular engagement from the KPMG member firms at any given cost. That was the motivation that was driving us, because we were able to align ourselves with the bigger picture of standing up KPMG Global Services, or at least the capability within KPMG Global Services. And that was the kick that we got, right? But that's not the dire situation that we are living in, and no one knew. Once everyone, the HR got to know, we got a notice, boss, what's happening? And we were given a 1 week just stay at home chutti of sorts, that you don't need to come to work. Luckily, we won that, and I think that was the overall thought behind working on different engagements. Now, while all of this was happening organically, we were part of the same ecosystem, and we became student of the firm. So this particular concept of student of the firm means that there are multiple moving parts within a global organization, and the more you know about it, the better you are able to tweak your projects or deliverables in sync with the overall organizational objectives. So that knowledge that we were gaining helped us tremendously. The relationships that we were building, helped me tremendously in scaling new capabilities going forward. I'm not sure what. Okay, we are running short. Just last one anecdote on this. I remember I attended one of the workshops in the US, in New Jersey and New York. The chief marketing officer of US was there, and I was representing KPMG Global Services and Services way back in 2013, and telling them, boss, we do this, we do that. Now, there were two ladies who were named Catherine. One, Catherine, was part of my global team. And remember, that was a time when we didn't have Teams or Zoom. We were still using telephonic conversations to interact with each other, or chats on Skype, or emails were already there. Now, unfortunately, the Catherine who was part of my team didn't turn up. There was another Catherine who was part of that 30-member group. And I presumed, not assumed, presumed that she's the same Catherine, and she was driving a Mini Cooper. Because of my interest in cars, I just started interacting with her, and I introduced, hey, you know what, you might be knowing me or remembering from the so and so call happened. I'm Gaurav from KPMG Global Services. And she was making face like, who's this guy? Because I presumed I know this Catherine. She never ever interacted with me. But again, she was kind enough to have an interaction with me on the Mini Cooper, so on and so forth. And we just had a discussion over a couple of beers at that point in time. And that happened. 2 years down the line, she was scaling up the capability, right? But because of the accidental conversation or the relationship building process that I initiated with her, right? My boss, sorry, my leader, my program leader, the capability leader, the head of KGS were there on the same call. And she was the client from whom we had to get business for KGS. She wasn't interacting with them. She was interacting with me, because obviously there is a comfort level, there is a trust level. And I then apologize, Catherine, I really apologize. I thought you to be Catherine so and so, but you were so and so. She said, no worries, Gaurav, that's totally fine. I'm glad we interacted first. So I think that capability scale up was a piece of cake, and my leadership also had that trust in me, that because of the relationship building that Gaurav was able to do, he will be in a better position to manage the expectation of that sponsor or the stakeholder. So the lesson over here out of this particular anecdote is relationship building is very important, not networking only. Relationship building, networking plus having meaningful discussions and interactions with the folks within your network is quite important. And you never know which particular relationship helps you out in the overall scenario in this corporate life. I hope that helps.
Oh, certainly, sir. Talking to you was a magic and more and very educational experience. But sir, we have to end our conversation here because of the time, and we are running short on the time. Thank
Sorry
you for
for the verbosity, Garima. I really apologize because I think I took a lot of time in explaining certain things, coming up with certain thoughts. Totally on me.
no, sir. You don't have to apologize. That was very educational interaction. If you personally ask me, sir.